Hello everyone, my name is Luke, and let's talk about Black Ops Cold War Zombies for a little bit, because there's a few things that I need to get off of my chest. The main thing being is that I think that first and foremost, Cold War Zombies needs the Aether storyline in order to be a success. This might seem controversial at first because, Luke, didn't the Aether storyline end? But just let me plead my case here, and then you can crucify me in the comments afterwards if you really want to. Let's roll the intro.
This is it.
For those of you who tuned out during Black Ops 4, I can't really blame you first of all, but let me catch you up to speed a little bit. In Tag Der Toten, the last Aether Zombies map, the storyline came to an end with Nikolai poisoning all of our beloved characters. This included everyone from the Primis and the Ultimus crew and shooting zombie Richtofen in the head before using the summoning key and the Agarthan device to end the multiverse. This brings about the end of the Aether storyline, but this doesn't really have to mean that this is where it ends. Just because we know where the storyline begins with the Great War and it technically ends at Tag Der Toten doesn't mean that we can't keep telling the middle of this story for years to come. And to prove my point, I want to bring you back to 1977, where a little film called Star Wars hit theaters and became the phenomenon that we know today. The biggest movie franchise in the history of the world. And if you know anything about the first Star Wars trilogy, you'd know that the first movie was where the Death Star was blown up, and the movies released after that worked backwards and told the story leading up to the Death Star. And in my eyes, this is a perfect example of the story being so large, complex, and it takes place in such an expansive and interesting universe that the real entertainment and the nitty-gritty is the things that happen in between the start and the finish. And I truly believe in my heart that something like this can really be what helps Call of Duty Zombies right now, because we have such a vast amount of information. We have a ton of places that we've been, things that we've seen, and the things that we haven't seen are just the scratch of just We're only scratching the surface of this universe. I truly believe that there's so much left of this story to be told, like what happened with the zombie outbreak in London that we saw in Der Eisendrache. Why get all the Atlantis hints over the years? What happened at Transit before the nukes drop? I could go on for literally 10, 15, 20 minutes with events that we know about but have never been expanded upon that could really make for some just compelling storytelling and gameplay adventures for us. And just because we know that the story ends in tragedy doesn't mean that we can't have so many more just great adventures in all of these maps and places, and even bring in more characters that we've never even heard of or heard very little of before. There is also the business side of things here as well. So it's no secret that while the Chaos storyline in Black Ops 4 was fun, it did not reach the critical and monetary heights that the Aether storyline did. At the end of the day, Treyarch and Activision are businesses, and they will do whatever they need to do in order to keep the cash flowing in, and as much as this actually hurts me to say, the Chaos storyline cannot carry Cold War Zombies to being a financial success, especially after BO4, where budgets were slashed near the end of its year and resulted in some less than stellar cutscenes and features. Treyarch and Zombies in general cannot afford another failure like that. And maybe this is just me, and maybe I'm a little hypersensitive to this issue, but right now it kind of feels like Cold War Zombies is either a make or break for Zombies as a whole. We've never had two back-to-back Zombies failures, and especially with Warzone being such a big success, I wonder if Zombies could get phased out if Cold War is bad. So in order for Zombies to continue to receive its high budget and continue to justify its place within every new Treyarch title, there needs to be a cash cow. And because Aether has been around for so long, and it's the queer fan favorite, they need to keep milking that cow. In the process of keeping zombies alive in this way, they might milk it dry, but it would help zombies to at least keep going and give another storyline the time that it needs to eventually take the Aether's place. Because even though Aether was overall a success, it had a lot of stumbling points, and it still did have 11 years to really get itself going. We knew basically nothing about these characters until the most part, Black Ops 3. Our beloved characters had a lot of time to grow. They had a lot of maps, and they had a lot of dialogue and places that they've been, and a lot of experimentation. But right now, we can't afford to just put the entire zombie storyline on top of Chaos and just hope that it just survives. We need Aether to help out. Otherwise, if Zombies fails to perform again, then believe it or not, like I said earlier, I think Zombies is at serious risk of either being cut from the series entirely or diluted a lot, where we might only see launch maps, or we might just not get a big budget for any of these maps anymore. And it might get to the point where those drawn cutscenes might just be the norm. We might not get any more celebrities, we might not get any huge expansive maps anymore, and they might go back to Black Ops 1 style, where they were very small and conservative. Whether you like that or not, it's up to you, but it's still the point. And because let's be honest here, right? Out of you guys watching this video, if you saw anyone besides Nikolai, Dempsey, Richtofen, or Takiao in the reveal trailer in a few days, then you might be hesitant to buy Cold War or even to play the zombies on it. And if you're watching this video, that already means you're a hardcore fan, so if you guys are thinking that way, then that applies even more so to the casual player who might only finish the launch Easter egg, or they might only play the map a few times with their friends. So if they don't see characters that they are familiar with, then they might not even give it a try. And I'm not saying that, by the way, no story can succeed besides Aether, but in order for new stories to win over the fans, we need to have Aether pulling people back in and hope that they'll see the new stories. Something else I really need to touch on here is nostalgia. While Zombies is really nostalgia driven right now, and while something like Zombies Chronicles was an incredible time for the community, we can't keep relying on remastering old maps to bring back hype. Especially since there are only Transit, Die Rise, and Buried to remaster now, and none of them have the Primis icons that everyone knows and loves, so we can't really keep going back to that well over and over again for remasters. So I think that telling new adventures in the Aether universe, possibly alongside the Chaos storyline, and releasing those maps at the same time, could really breathe some new life into Zombies while keeping the familiar faces that we've basically known for the last decade. It would also just be nice to finally have a new original Aether map, considering that the last one was Gorod Krovi. So again, to wrap things up, Black Ops Cold War, in my opinion, needs to have some form of the Aether storyline, at least at its launch. Regardless of your feelings about Tag Der Toten or Black Ops 4, how any of that went, if you care about Zombies, then you need to care about how well it does financially. And the Aether storyline right now will bring in most of that cash. On top of that, there are countless stories to be told, so we don't ever need to let go of our beloved Aether crew. Maybe someday they'll be phased out a little bit, or they'll be in the background once a new story really takes its place and just grows to be as good, but for right now, we really need Aether. But I also note this is a fairly controversial opinion. We've had Aether for the last decade, and I know people are starting to get tired of it, and I'm never trying to criticize the Chaos storyline or any of the other crews, but overall, just from a success point of view and how much of the casual and hardcore players love them, nothing else is caught up to Aether. And with Cold War being such a pivotal point after Black Ops 4's relatively massive failure, we need something to bring Zombies back and to give Treyarch and Activision a reason to keep it around for years to come. This is all just my opinion though, and this video was created in order to start a discussion about, does Zombies need Aether? And if it doesn't have Aether in Cold War, then they really need to have something good up their sleeves, and I'd love to see what you guys think they've got up their sleeve. While you're down there just telling me right now that Aether ended, we're never bringing it back, you know, blah blah blah, leave me a like. I would appreciate that. I know you're probably angry about something in this video, but I would appreciate a like on the video regardless. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.